Suicide Prevention Among Veterans by Tanya Gonzalez and Diane Jaime. A current event that has brought light to the current status or knowledge of suicide prevention among veterans is both the lack of availability to health resources when coming out of service in the military or the lack of exposure that mental health among veterans actually gets. Social injustices. According to the CDC Health Equity Centers, on the idea that everyone, no matter the circumstances, should have the accessibility to the highest quality of health care. Most of the veterans coming out of the service lack the knowledge of how to access the adequate resources that they need in order to cope with the life-changing events that they endured. The social injustices that surround suicide prevention among veterans are many, but the most important one being the exposure of the subject itself and the resources available for the veterans at the time of discharge. In a study among veterans, it has been found that 22 out of every 100 veterans suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, which is commonly referred to as PTSD. Another study finds that less than 50% of veterans that have PTSD receive the adequate mental health resources needed. 22% of veterans suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder or major depression. 34% suffer from other mental concerns. And 1 out of 3 of these veterans seek the actual help that they need. Among all U.S. adults, including veterans, the average number of suicides per day rose from 81.0 per day in 2001 to 121.0 in 2020. The average number of suicides per day among U.S. adults was highest in 2018, 124.7 per day. As you can see in the graph here, the rates have fluctuated dramatically over the years, but thankfully it does seem like the rates are lowering. Caddy Dondeville, clinical psychologist at the University of Texas Health Center at San Antonio. The Face the Fight campaign. The new campaign is funding programs that will promote voluntary, safe, and secure storage of firearms since the majority of veteran suicides involve guns. We cannot leave this problem only to the government. Our healthcare providers, said Dondeville. Over half of the individuals who die by suicide, they haven't gone to a healthcare provider in the last year. They haven't gone to a VA, and so this is where there is the opportunity for organizations like USAA and other business leaders need to change the culture around suicide talk about it. Essentially, what she is saying that there needs to be exposure on the topic of suicide prevention, and her efforts are to have a secure storage for firearms, since most of the veterans do have easy accessibility to firearms, and the leading cause for suicide among veterans does involve some sort of firearm. Rush said he hopes people will listen if a veteran asks for help, no matter if they look like me with 24-inch biceps or are laughing on social media. Andre Rush is a cook at the White House who is a veteran himself, and he has been putting in the efforts to gain exposure and bring light to the situation and how grief veterans their life does become after serving time in the military, and he hopes to bring light to the situation by not only speaking about the topic and creating an article about it, but also finding other ways that veterans can deal with their mental health and how to provide resources for them as well. Social injustices. Veterans' limited access to mental health services. This can be due to factors like the absence of nearby veterans facilities or transportation constraints, as many of the veterans that do come from serving in the military or the Marines or anything, many do come home injured or with some sort of physical health issue that provokes them from being able to move or transport themselves to get these resources, and this can also be a factor as to why they do not receive the adequate health care that they do need. Veterans face healthcare disparities such as discrimination based on race, gender, or religion, resulting in unequal treatment. Much like any other situation, veterans also do suffer from racist injustices. Not only the availability to healthcare, they do face the risk of being neglected or rejected for healthcare based on their where they served time and what they did in the military. Economic disparity is a major obstacle for veterans in obtaining essential mental health services. Many veterans struggle due to factors like lack of insurance, homelessness, joblessness, and financial strain. It is pretty difficult for a veteran to get back on their feet once they do return from serving time in the military, as it is they are being thrown into this world that they have been apart from for quite a bit of time, and sometimes it is hard for them to get back on their feet and get the health care, the insurance that they do deserve. So they essentially go down a spiral where, in the end, it can lead to homelessness, sadly. In conclusion, there is no doubt in the world that our veterans are exposed to some of the most life changing and traumatizing experiences during their time serving, and understandably enough, these experiences cause life lasting traumas and illnesses, leading to them taking a toll on their mental health. And we can only do so much for them, or that's what we think in regards to their mental health. But bringing awareness to this topic is more than enough and very helpful, because it does gain the exposure that it wouldn't have gotten.